In a realm where ancient myth collides with timeless truth, the stage is set for an extraordinary trial that transcends mortal boundaries. The scene opens with a sweeping panorama of venerable temples and imposing statues dedicated to Zeus, Odin, and Ra, their weathered visages silently testifying to forgotten eras. Suddenly, the perspective shifts as the eye is drawn to an ethereal courtroom bathed in celestial light and cloaked in mystique. Here, the resonant strike of a divine gavel echoes like ripples of fate through the hallowed hall, evoking awe and solemnity in equal measure. At the center of this courtroom, an imposing judge, the Honorable, Almighty Justice Yahweh, made manifest through an unearthly radiance, resting upon a grand throne of gold. As he presides over the proceedings, a silent arbiter of universal justice. In this charged atmosphere, the eternal debate is about to commence, a trial by jury, not a jury of peers per se, but of mortal man, both the alleged victim and the audience of each perceived deity, challenging long-held notions and inviting seekers of truth to question the very fabric of belief. On one side, the radiant figure of Jesus, embodying calm authority and resolute conviction, takes his place at the prosecuting table. His presence, serene yet commanding, reflects the clarity of an uncompromised, singular divinity. On the opposing side, the charismatic figure of Satan emerges as the defense attorney, flanked by elusive, shifting silhouettes of various pagan gods. These shadowy forms seem to merge and waver, suggesting both allure and deception. In this surreal convergence of light and darkness, as the defense's opening argument guides us into the heart of a cosmic trial. A trial poised not only to untangle myth from truth, but also to unveil the ultimate deception behind the myriad forms of false idols. Amid the hushed awe of the celestial courtroom, the atmosphere vibrates with anticipation as the divine proceedings begin. The judge's presence, symbolized by an overwhelming glow and the majestic figure on his throne, signals the initiation of a case labeled 777, the nature of deity. As the trial opens, we see the prosecution table, where Jesus, the paragon of clarity and divine righteousness, stands ready to present his argument with unwavering determination. In a series of deliberate, graceful gestures, his countenance radiates the certainty and warmth that come from a truth unchallenged by time itself. As the view pans slowly over an audience that spans both history and the present, a jury made up of souls seeking enlightenment, Jesus' opening argument reveals that the very foundation of the trial is to expose a grand illusion. The evidence, as quietly displayed through symbolic relics and ancient texts, hints at a startling conclusion: that the multitude of pagan deities is not a collection of independent, benevolent beings, but rather the shadowy recreation of one common deception. In contrast, on the defense side, Satan makes his entrance with an aura of smooth, almost hypnotic charm. His presence, accentuated by the subtle interplay of shifting lights and darkened figures behind him, evokes the idea that all these divine names might simply be reflections of one multifaceted truth, a universal yearning for connection with the infinite. The narrative interweaves these opposing forces, presenting the heartfelt struggle between absolute truth and the seductive allure of multiplicity. As the opening statements conclude, the divine courtroom stands ready to delve deeper. The stage is set for the evidence to unravel layers of myth and reality, illuminating the eternal struggle between fragmentation and singular, unyielding divinity. Jesus now transports us on a historical journey through the labyrinth of human belief. In softly lit sequences, intercut with ancient maps and intricate animated timelines, the origins of polytheistic traditions come vividly to life. It is here that the diverse pantheon of pagan deities is introduced, each god arising from the fertile soil of human imagination to explain the mysteries of nature and existence. The narrative details how figures like Egyptian Osiris, Greek Dionysus, and Norse Odin emerged from the struggles of early civilizations to comprehend their world, echoing similar motifs across lands and cultures. In the divine courtroom, Jesus takes center stage as he presents evidence to support the claim that these deities are recurring archetypes, mirroring one another as they cycle through themes of death, resurrection, and rebirth, all tied to the natural rhythms of the earth. As visual overlays depict side-by-side comparisons of mythic rituals and renowned ancient texts, Jesus explains that the replication of a dying and rising God is not a testament to unique, independent revelations, but rather an illustration of myth recycled through time. Meanwhile, the prosecutor contrasts these human-forged deities with the singular, transcendent identity of Yahweh, a divine force that stands apart due to his timeless sovereignty and moral absoluteness. This section of testimony is woven with both historical context and spiritual introspection, revealing that while myths evolve and emulate one another across geographical boundaries, only one identity, the true, unfragmented divinity, remains eternal and unchallenged. The convergence of historical fact and divine revelation in this segment deepens the understanding of a truth that spans both time and myth. Within the luminous courtroom, Jesus then shifts focus to the essence of divine authority and character. Through a series of evocative images that capture the raw energy of elemental forces, Jesus illustrates how the pagan deities are confined to narrow domains. Zeus commanding the storm with bolts of lightning, Poseidon ruling the unruly seas with a mighty trident, and Ares inciting the chaos of war. These vivid portrayals underscore the fragmented spheres of influence each deity governs, a mosaic of limited powers often marred by capricious temperaments and human-like flaws. In contrast, he exalts the unparalleled might of Yahweh, the creator and sustainer of all that is seen and unseen. His power, depicted as all-encompassing and infinite, transcends the petty confines of mortal expectations and cultural constraints. Suddenly, he is interrupted by a voice. "Objection, Your Honor," says Satan, his voice filled with annoyance. The prosecution is attempting to use flattery of the court as a means for leverage. "Overruled," says the judge, Almighty Yahweh. Irrelevant, as this is a trial by jury, the court is merely here to mediate. As the testimony unfolds, Jesus continues to artfully contrast the ephemeral nature of these mythic beings with the absolute, enduring authority of the one true divinity. The courtroom becomes a stage where the ephemeral power of the many is measured against the enduring sovereignty of the singular, unblemished Creator. This segment of the trial uses striking analogies and symbolic imagery to resonate deeply with the jury, inviting them to recognize that true divinity is not subject to the limitations of personality or domain, but is marked by an eternal and unyielding presence that defies every human conception of fragmented power. The narrative deepens as Jesus explores the complex relationship between the divine and humanity, where faith, worship, and sacrifice have long intertwined with the legends of old. The courtroom is transformed into a vivid tapestry of ancient rituals and heartfelt supplications, revealing the intricate dance between human beings and the beings they once invoked. Through a carefully curated sequence of imagery depicting archaic altars, somber ceremonial rites, and desperate appeals for favor, the prosecution illustrates how the pagan gods once demanded not only reverence, but often unspeakable sacrifices in return for their perceived blessings. These demands, sometimes manifesting in the form of tragic sacrifices and morally ambiguous rites, serve as a stark reminder of the transactional nature of a relationship steeped in fear and capricious favor. In contrast, Jesus, the prosecuting attorney, illuminates the covenantal bond that characterizes the interaction between Yahweh and humanity. The testimony shows a divine relationship founded on love, justice, and the promise of eternal redemption, one that gently guides rather than coerces. As Jesus, portrayed with serene determination, presents his case, the imagery shifts to contemporary symbols of spiritual devotion and communal faith. These scenes evoke a sense of warmth and universal hope, highlighting the enduring impact of a loving Creator whose expectations are fulfilled through grace rather than terror. Jesus deftly juxtaposes these approaches, underscoring that while the fragmented deities of ancient myth demanded fear-driven loyalty, the one true divinity, God, offers a liberating, compassionate path that embraces humanity in its fullest, most resilient expression of hope and salvation. Jesus now turns to reflect on the lasting imprint of these ancient deities within modern culture. In a flurry of symbolic imagery, scenes of blockbuster epics and fantastical reinterpretations of myth are interwoven with shots of serene, heartfelt worship in contemporary spaces. The pagan gods, though long reduced to characters in film and literature, continue to captivate the collective imagination as ephemeral echoes of ages past. Yet, in the midst of this ubiquitous myth, he affirms that the luminous influence of Yahweh remains unparalleled. His covenants and moral truths have shaped billions of lives over centuries, anchoring a legacy rooted not in sensational spectacle, but in enduring, transformative grace that lights the path to enlightenment even in the modern world. The courtroom reaches its zenith as the divine judge delivers an unequivocal verdict with the resounding slam of his celestial gavel. In a climactic display, the shadowy forms of the pagan deities dissolve into darkness, yielding to the radiant certainty embodied by Jesus. Illuminated by an unwavering divine light, Jesus declares that the evidence speaks for itself. The fragmented array of ancient gods is merely a deceptive masquerade, while the boundless, singular truth of Yahweh stands eternal and pristine. As the courtroom quiets and the final images fade into a tableau of serene absolution, this poses a lingering, reflective query, an invitation to every soul. Are these myriad gods truly the genuine expressions of humanity's quest for the divine, or do they obscure a deeper deception that only one path to eternal enlightenment can dispel? With the case closed, the call for introspection endures, a timeless appeal to seek the light of true, unwavering divinity. If you enjoyed this courtroom drama or even found it insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Also hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any new content I put out. Leave any thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.